I was 5 minutes away from marrying the man I thought was the love of my life when I heard the knock that changed everything. My hands were trembling, not with nerves but with excitement. My makeup artist had just finished the last touch on my lips, and my bridesmaids were fluffing my veil. I was glowing, giddy, about to become Mrs. Nathaniel Cole, my high school sweetheart, my safe place, my future. And then, knock knock. It was my cousin Elena, pale and breathless, holding her phone like it was something toxic. "I didn't want to be the one to tell you," she whispered, glancing nervously at the door behind her. "But you have to see this. Right now." I remember laughing nervously. "Elena, what is it?" "I'm about to walk down the aisle." She handed me her phone. And my world cracked in two. There on the screen was a video, grainy, clearly taken in secret. But unmistakable. My fiancé Nathan shirtless. On a hotel bed. And climbing into that bed, my best friend. My maid of honor. The woman I'd known since we were 6. Lauren. They were kissing. Laughing. And then it got worse. The date stamp said it was recorded last night. My knees buckled. I grabbed onto the edge of the vanity to keep from collapsing. My ears were ringing. My heart slammed so hard against my ribcage I thought it would explode. Last night, while I was celebrating my final night as a single woman, toasting champagne with friends and family, Nathan and Lauren were in a hotel room betraying me. Together. How many times had they done this? How long had this been going on? I could feel my lungs start to close. All the air had been sucked out of the room. My bridesmaids looked at me frozen. Nobody said a word. "I didn't believe it until I saw them leave the room together this morning," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I followed them. I had to record it. I couldn't let you marry him without knowing." My first instinct was denial. There had to be a mistake. Maybe it was a setup. A misunderstanding. But no. The proof was right there in front of me. And the look in Lauren's eyes in that video, carefree, smug, victorious, burned into my memory like acid. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. I looked like a bride out of a fairy tale. White satin, beaded veil, sparkling earrings. But I didn't feel beautiful anymore. I felt hollow. Stupid. Betrayed. And the worst part? She was standing just outside, waiting to fix my train and hand me my bouquet, like she hadn't just gutted me behind my back. Something snapped inside me. I wasn't going to cry. Not yet. Not here. I wasn't going to give them that. I stood up. Slowly. Carefully. As if putting myself back together piece by piece. If they wanted to humiliate me, they should have done it better. Because what I was about to do would leave them both begging for mercy. But first I needed to walk down that aisle. And I had a wedding to ruin. The music started. The doors of the chapel creaked open and a hush fell over the crowd. All eyes turned to me, the blushing bride. They had no idea that underneath my veil was not a woman overwhelmed with love, but a woman about to burn everything to the ground. I took a deep breath. 1 step. 2. My heart pounded harder with each movement. My heels clicked against the stone floor like a ticking clock. My bouquet shook in my hands, but I didn't falter. I couldn't. I locked eyes with him. He stood at the end of the aisle, beaming like the man of every woman's dreams. He looked devastatingly handsome in his navy tuxedo, his honey brown hair styled just the way I liked. That boyish grin. Those soft eyes. The same ones that stared into her face last night as he made love to my best friend. My stomach twisted, but I forced a smile. And then I saw her. Lauren. Standing just behind him in her silk blush gown, holding my train like she hadn't just stabbed me in the heart. Her eyes glistened. She gave me a wink. A wink. As if she thought she got away with it. As if I was just another clueless bride. "Oh no, sweetheart. Not today." My father whispered, "You okay?" as he handed me off. I nodded barely. "Just wait." The ceremony began. The pastor spoke, but I heard none of it. My mind was racing. I kept seeing that video in my head. Their lips. Their laughter. Her hand on his chest. The way he kissed her like he had nothing to lose. But he did. He just didn't know it yet. "Do you, Nathaniel Cole, take Madison Quinn to be your lawfully wedded wife?" I looked straight at him. His eyes locked on mine with a tenderness that almost made me flinch. "I do," he said like he meant it. The audacity. "And do you, Madison Quinn, take Nathaniel Cole to be?" "I have something to say." Gasps rippled through the pews. I turned to face the crowd, my voice ringing loud and clear. "I can't marry this man." Nathan's smile froze. "What?" "I said I can't marry you," I repeated, stepping back. "Because while I was preparing to vow my life to you, you were in a hotel room with her." All heads whipped toward Lauren. She blinked. What? "Don't play dumb, Lauren," I snapped. "You were with him. Last night. I have the video. You're not just my maid of honor. You're his mistress." The silence was deafening. Nathan's face went sheet white. "Mads, wait, No," I said, holding up Elena's phone. "Save it. You're disgusting. Both of you. How long has this been going on? Weeks? Months? Years?" "Maddie, please." Lauren stepped forward. "I didn't mean." "You didn't mean to what? Sleep with my fiancé? Lie to my face for God knows how long? Stand next to me in this dress pretending to be my sister?" The guests were frozen. Some were whispering. Some were filming. I didn't care. Let the world see. I loved you, Nathan. I trusted you. Thought you were my forever. And you, I turned to Lauren, my voice cracking, you were my best friend. My family. I would have died for you. Tears stung my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. Now, you're both dead to me. Nathan reached for me, but I stepped back. "Don't you dare touch me." Lauren was crying now, mascara streaking down her face. "Maddie, I'm sorry, I was drunk, it was a mistake." "It happened last night," I spat. "You were sober enough to sneak back in before anyone noticed. You were sober enough to hand me my veil this morning." Lauren crumpled. "And I stood tall." "Wedding's off," I said, turning back to the guests. "But don't worry, there's still cake. Have a slice on me." I handed the phone to my cousin, gathered my dress and walked out, head high, heart shattered and fire in my blood. I wasn't just walking away from a man. I was walking toward a new version of myself. One who'd never be anyone's second choice again. The air outside the chapel was heavy and hot, but I didn't feel it. I didn't feel anything. I sat alone in the back of a black town car, my wedding dress bunched up in my lap, my bouquet crushed under the weight of a future that no longer existed. My phone buzzed nonstop, texts from guests, family, news alerts. Someone had uploaded the confrontation. It was already going viral. Runaway bride exposes cheating groom at altar. Maid of honor revealed as mistress. I should have been humiliated. But I wasn't. I was hollow. Hours passed in a blur. My parents canceled the reception. The vendors packed up. My bridesmaids, well, the two who hadn't stabbed me in the heart, tried to comfort me. But I couldn't stay. Not in that town. Not in that house. Every room was soaked in memories of Nathan. So I left. I booked a room at a boutique hotel 3 towns over and sat on the bed in silence. No more wedding plans. No honeymoon. No more imagining kids with his last name or backyard barbecues in the house we picked out together. It was all gone. My entire future ripped out from under me in seconds. The worst part, the betrayal didn't feel loud. It felt quiet. Like a subtle death. Like I had been grieving for a life that hadn't even started. And then just when I thought I couldn't cry anymore, I got a call from my aunt. "Sweetheart," she said softly. "You need to hear this." She told me Lauren had been running her mouth at the reception, even after I left. Told people I was the villain. That I had been emotionally unavailable to Nathan, that I neglected him with wedding stress. That maybe I should have seen it coming. I felt the burn rise in my throat. She said what? She said you always needed attention. That Nathan felt suffocated. That you weren't the same Maddie anymore. I bit down so hard on my knuckle I nearly bled. That snake. I gave that girl everything. I pulled her out of debt. Let her stay in my apartment after her breakup. I helped her get a new job. I introduced her to my entire world. And this was her thank you? She didn't just stab me. She twisted the knife and danced on the wound. That night I stared at my reflection in the hotel mirror. My makeup was smeared, my dress wrinkled, but for the first time, I really looked at myself. I didn't see the broken bride anymore. I saw a woman with nothing left to lose. And that made me dangerous. I thought back to every time I had dimmed myself for other people. When I laughed off red flags. When I gave and gave while they drained me dry. I'd lived for everyone else. Nathan, Lauren, my parents' expectations. But not anymore. I started making a list. Step 1. Take back control. I called my boss and asked for a 3-month transfer to the New York office. She said yes immediately. Step 2. Cut ties. I blocked Nathan. Blocked Lauren. Deleted our photos. Cleared my voicemail. Gone. Step 3. Rebuild on my terms. I cashed out what was left of our wedding fund and used it to book an apartment in Manhattan. Small. Modern. I wasn't planning revenge. Not the kind you could see. I wanted something quieter. I wanted to become the kind of woman they'd never get access to again. The kind of woman Nathan would regret losing when he saw me on billboards or in interviews or smiling across magazine covers, untouchable. The kind of woman Lauren could never pretend to be. And little by little, the pieces of me started coming back. I dyed my hair. Changed my wardrobe. Spent mornings in cafes writing again. Something Nathan always said was a waste of time. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected. I went to therapy. I even started boxing. Not to fight them, but to fight the voice in my head that still whispered maybe you weren't enough. Because that voice, it wasn't mine. It was theirs. And I was done carrying it. 6 months later, I walked through the revolving doors of a glass tower in downtown Manhattan with a cappuccino in one hand and my badge in the other. Madison Hart. Senior Public Relations Strategist. Not fiancé. Not best friend. Not victim. I had built a new life, far from the whispers and pitying glances of my old town. No one in New York knew about the wedding scandal that exploded online. They didn't recognize the girl who'd gone viral for exposing her cheating fiancé at the altar. Here I was respected. Confident. Whole. The burn had faded into something sharper. Purpose. I had worked on branding campaigns for global companies, appeared on marketing panels, and slowly my name began to circulate in industry circles. The new Madison was focused. Sharp-tongued when she needed to be. And above all, untouchable. But the past? It always has a way of creeping back in when you least expect it. It started on a Tuesday. I was reviewing pitch boards for a luxury fashion client when my assistant poked her head in. "There's a man in the lobby asking for you. Says his name is Nathan Caldwell." For a moment, everything stilled. I hadn't heard that name spoken out loud in over half a year. My first instinct was to run. My second was to laugh. What the hell did he want now? I stood slowly. Smoothed my blazer. Checked my lipstick in the mirror. "I'll be down in 5. When I stepped into the lobby, he turned, and the look on his face was everything I didn't know I needed. Regret. Desperation. I had changed. My hair shorter and bolder. My stance stronger. My eyes no longer searching for answers. "Madison," he said like it still meant something. "Nathan," I replied coolly. He looked thinner. Worn. Not in the rugged romantic way, but in the unraveling way. Like life had gotten harder for him since I left. "I've been trying to find you," he said. "You disappeared." That was the idea. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I tilted my head. For what? Sleeping with my maid of honor? Ruining our wedding in front of 200 people? Or pretending I was the problem after you got caught? He swallowed. "All of it. I was an idiot. That we agree on." "I broke things off with Lauren," he added quickly, almost as if that would change everything. "Oh. Did she cheat on you this time?" His silence was answer enough. I took a slow breath, then smiled, not warmly but with a kind of pity I never expected to feel. "Let me guess. She wanted the version of me she tried to imitate. But it didn't last, did it?" He looked down ashamed. "I came to tell you. I miss you. That I made the biggest mistake of my life." I stepped closer, just enough for him to think I might be softening. And then I said it clear and calm. "I don't." His mouth parted but no words came. "You see, I continued. You didn't just cheat on me. You taught me exactly who not to be with. You were my final mistake, and I thank you for it. I turned, heels clicking against the marble floor, and walked away. But that wasn't the end. The universe wasn't done playing. Because 2 days later I was invited to speak on a panel about crisis PR strategies. And guess who was also there, representing a startup in desperate need of image repair? Lauren. She strutted into the room like she hadn't nuked my life from orbit. But when she saw me on stage in front of industry leaders, she froze. And I smiled. Not a vindictive smile. A knowing one. You don't get to win. During Q&A, someone asked about public scandals that went viral and how brands survive them. I looked right at Lauren when I said, redemption isn't about erasing your past, it's about owning it. But some reputations aren't damaged. They're destroyed. And you can't rebuild on ash. She couldn't meet my eyes after that. Later, as she passed me backstage, she whispered, you think you're better than me now? I leaned in, voice low and steady. No, Lauren. I know I am. She stormed off. I didn't follow. I had nothing left to prove. That night, I got an email from one of the panel organizers. Your delivery was razor sharp. We'd love to feature you on our next national campaign. Interested? I clicked reply without hesitation. Absolutely. By the time winter came, I had stopped thinking about love. Romance was a game I'd lost too publicly. Too painfully. I didn't do dating apps. I didn't flirt at networking events. I turned down every dinner invitation with a polite smile and a practiced excuse. To the world, I was Madison Hart, self-made, sleek, and unstoppable. But when the makeup came off and the heels were kicked aside, I curled up with my laptop, editing client decks until midnight. Not because I had to, but because I didn't want to be left alone with my thoughts. Love to me was a scam. Until he walked into my office. No warning. No dramatic music cue. Just a quiet knock and a voice. Hi. I'm Oliver Rhodes. The team said you're the one who can fix our mess. I looked up. The sharp navy suit. Messy brown hair. Soft eyes that held intelligence, not arrogance. Most importantly, I didn't recognize him. He wasn't from my past. He was here now. Oliver was the founder of a tech company that had taken a public beating after a whistleblower scandal. He needed help rebranding his image, not in a fake polished way but in a how-do-I-fix-what-broke way. And I was the expert he'd been referred to. As we worked together, something unexpected happened. He listened. Not the performative, nodding along kind of listening. Real listening. He asked questions. Remembered details. Noticed when I skipped lunch. Noticed when I didn't wear eyeliner 2 days in a row. He saw me. And it terrified me. The walls I had built weren't ready for this. I had made peace with being untouchable. I liked the solitude. The control. But he didn't try to break them down. He simply stood there on the other side and waited. One night, after a long strategy meeting, we walked out into the cold city air. Snow was falling, quiet and slow. I don't usually do this, he said, shoving his hands into his pockets. But, would you maybe want to grab dinner sometime? Not as your client. Just, as a guy who really enjoys your company. I froze. He must have seen the hesitation on my face because he added, no pressure. You don't owe me anything. That's what made it worse. He meant it. He wasn't chasing. He wasn't manipulating. He wasn't trying to wear me down. He respected the space I needed, even if it meant he'd never cross it. I told him I'd think about it. And for days I did. I told myself it was too soon. That I wasn't ready. That I didn't believe in love anymore. But the truth? I was scared. Scared that I'd finally healed just enough to risk being hurt again. Scared that if I let someone in, they'd find the pieces I'd taped together and rip them apart all over again. I saw Nathan in every good guy. I heard Lauren's voice behind every compliment. Until I didn't. Until one morning I found myself smiling at a stupid meme Oliver had texted. Laughing, genuinely, at a dumb pun he made during a call. Wishing meetings would run long just so I could sit across from him a little while longer. And that's when I knew. He wasn't trying to rescue me from my past. He was just showing me that maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to carry it alone. I said yes. Our first dinner wasn't magical. It was real. He didn't try to impress me. I didn't try to hide my baggage. We talked about fear. About failure. About starting over. And when he walked me home, he didn't try to kiss me. He just looked me in the eye and said, "I'm glad you came." That night, for the first time in a long time, I didn't cry before bed. I didn't scroll through old texts. I didn't replay Lauren's betrayal or Nathan's cowardice. I thought about Oliver. And I let myself wonder, could this be real? But just when things finally felt safe again, I got a phone call that shattered the calm I had fought so hard to build. "Nathan's been arrested," my old college friend whispered. "And your name is involved." My heart stopped. "What?" "I thought you should know," she said. "He's telling people you're the reason his company tanked." I sat down, ice in my veins. I had moved on. But it turns out, they hadn't. I stared at the phone long after the call ended. Nathan. Arrested. And dragging my name into the mess. It didn't make sense until I looked into it. Headlines were starting to pop up. Tech bro turned Grimzilla facing fraud allegations. Former fintech star implodes after failed merger. I hadn't spoken to Nathan in over a year. But his company, it had been struggling even before the wedding debacle. Now he was desperate to save face. And apparently, blaming his ex-fiancée was easier than admitting he was a fraud. He claimed I leaked confidential information from our engagement days. Said I had sabotaged him out of spite. But I had receipts. Text messages. Emails. Timestamped chats proving he'd shared sensitive company data with me, unsolicited, long before anything went wrong. I had kept them just in case. I never expected to need them. But I wasn't the same woman who sobbed in a bridal suite a year ago. I wasn't the Madison who doubted her worth every time a man lied with a smile. I was the woman who had clawed her way back. Built a thriving brand. Rekindled hope. Found someone who made her laugh again. Nathan wanted a war? I wasn't scared of him anymore. I contacted my lawyer, looped in a PR team, and made my move. Calm, measured, lethal. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't post vague Instagram stories. I posted the truth. A well-crafted statement with receipts attached. My name was cleared within hours. The internet did the rest. The same media outlets that had once pitted me now praised me. Madison heartbreaks silence and breaks internet. Ex-fiancé drops bombshell receipts as Nathan Cole spirals. And that was when I got the message. From Lauren. Just one line. "Can we talk?" I stared at it, heart pounding. My finger hovered over delete. But I didn't press it. Not because I wanted to hear from her. Because I wanted to finish this. We met at a quiet rooftop cafe. She looked different. Smaller. Less polished. The guilt was written all over her face. "I was stupid," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't think he'd actually marry me. Thought he was just punishing you. Using me. And I let him." I said nothing. She went on, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I lost him too. He cheated on me. Lied to me. Used me. And I deserved it. Because I threw away the best friend I ever had. For nothing." I finally spoke. "You didn't just throw me away, Lauren. You watched me bleed. You stood there while I shattered. And you let me believe I was unlovable." Her eyes dropped. "I don't want your forgiveness," she said. "I just wanted to say it. I was wrong." For a long time I sat in silence. Then I nodded once. Not for her. For me. Because I didn't need revenge anymore. I had already won. I got up and walked away. Later that week I had dinner with Oliver. We sat by the fireplace in his apartment, sipping wine, laughing at how messy life had been. "You could have run, you know," I teased. "I came with a whole tabloid saga." He smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. "I didn't want perfect, Madison. I wanted real. And you are the most real person I've ever known." I didn't cry. I leaned in. Kissed him slowly. And for the first time I believed this love wasn't a trick. It wasn't a consolation prize after heartbreak. It was something entirely new. Built not on promises, but on truth. And this time, I was ready. And that's how everything finally came full circle. After all the pain, the lies, and the heartbreak, I found my way back to myself. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of your own journey, feel free to like, share, or leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. New stories drop every day, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.